front of me. I'm like not used to this.
Yeah. Need it. I don't know this shit like crazy. Also, Devin should be here. Oh no!
Oh, look at that already.
Oh no! I thought I took it off. There we go.
I wish you took it off.
There we go. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, starting off hot and heavy here at Third Down Thursdays. Bruce, we are live at the NFL Combine, sir. It is very good to see you
guys in person.
But
man,
so
we've started pretty strong today, dude.
Yes, we have.
So Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
So those of you that don't know, I'm sorry, I'm jumping right in.
You're fine. Jump right in. Go for it.
Deep end, baby. Jalen Carter right away, it was reported from Seth Emerson from the Athletic, came out with this 20 minutes, 25, 26 minutes? 26? I think it was 26 minutes before he was supposed to get on the podium and start and talk to media and stuff. He ended up we ended up getting the report from Seth from the Athletic that he has a warrant out for his arrest.
And
so Athens, Georgia. Correct.
So I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know that I know all the details. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not an expert on what happened. But all I do know is that following the concerns that Todd McShay had already laid out about some character concerns for Jalen Carter,
we owe him
it is at least we number one owe him an apology. I said that to Bruce earlier.
He did.
And number two, I just think on a base level, it is a huge issue, no matter what the legal side of it ends up becoming. I mean, I don't know how far he's going to fall, Bruce.
He's not going to. I don't know. It's significant
because I've already seen.
You've had players though in the NFL get drafted that have had some kind of character issue or whatever. However, but at this moment, you have a guy who was slated. I mean, he was the number one on so many people's mock drafts.
Yeah.
He was number one on all these analytics. He's number one on this, that, and the other. And, man, he is not going to go number one, obviously, because the Bears are going to be trading that pick anyways. And I don't think I think he falls out of the top 10.
I wouldn't be surprised. And what I said to you earlier is, unfortunately, there are plenty of teams in the NFL, I'm not going to name names, Browns, that
We're starting.
don't.
They're like right over here.
No, they're all the way back there. They're not going to hear me. There are plenty of NFL teams that unfortunately have displayed that they care more about the product on the field than they do about the character of some of these young men off the field. So I wouldn't be surprised, Bruce, if he did get picked inside the top 10. I'm not throwing shade at any of the organizations in the top 10.
Maybe Jalen Carter will get a massage from.
Yeah, let's not
we won't
let's not go
we
that
won't
way.
go there.
But let me say, the Raiders have made some questionable picks. I'm not going to say that too loud since they're right in front of us. But there
They're
are
also over there getting interviewed.
there are NFL teams that have displayed very questionable decision making, and so I would not be surprised.
I mean, you've
if
seen
this
it before.
man.
So you've seen it before. Okay, so on the way here, I was listening to a live broadcast from our friends over at WMVP, ESPN 1000.
Yeah.
And they were mentioning about how Olin Kreutz had character issues coming out of college. Alonzo Spellman had character issues out of college. Tank Johnson had character issues coming out of college.
Those are not
But-
legal.
Well, right, and
issues.
that's
a
so,
huge
but that
difference.
was the thing I was going to say. That's the jump that we're making right now. We're making a situation where somebody who actually like passed away, from what I recall. I have to double check on that, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
it was from, I think it was vehicular manslaughter. I have to double check on that.
Again, we're not legal experts.
Right, exactly. But anyway, the thing that scares me the most, and if I was so I'm gonna pretend to play GM.
Right.
The thing that scares me the most right now about the situation is you had a young man who has significant promise.
Yeah.
And then mislead. I'm not going to say lie, because I think lying is a little bit more, you don't know the background, you don't know the
Right.
situation that he grew up in, but he misled NFL teams, he misled other people, misled.
No, Alex makes a very good point. Legal issues are not, it's about a reputation.
Correct.
And
I
so
agree.
even just leaving the legal out of it, because that's not our job. Just
Correct,
from
not at all.
What's up, Devin? How you doing, sir?
What's
Hop right
up,
in.
Devin?
We're already live. So, ladies and gentlemen, going to be joined here by our good friend Devin Jackson.
Devin,
so
how are you,
I
sir?
believe this is going to be yours.
Okay.
So all you, and then
You even get your own camera over there.
yeah, we got that set up for you. Oh yeah, you can look wherever you want.
Wherever you want. Wherever you want to look.
But yeah, so we're just recapping a little bit of the Jalen Carter.
Yeah, the situation that happened. and how
I
it
don't know
just-
if you have any thoughts on that. It's tread a little lightly, obviously. but,
Right,
you know,
right.
I don't know what you've heard or what you think.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say a lot about it just
Yeah.
because it's fresh and new.
Right.
To me, I just hope the situation gets sorted out.
Agree.
I think that's the most important thing right now, and I'm not thinking about where you might fall or
Right.
things like that. I'm just more focused on everything on that end being cleared up. And,
Yeah.
it being the best case scenario.
Yeah. Focusing on the man himself and how his life might turn out from a situation that is a life situation that could change it significantly. I get that.
Yeah, look, he's a young guy. We can't. Like I said, I don't want to get too much into it, but I don't
Agree.
like kind of the pouring into him a little bit.
Right. I mean, no. Right.
Because it's very fresh, it's very new. We're just learning about it, and still
And
more
there's still
things
more
to
stuff
details,
come out.
exactly. Agree.
So I think it's just important that his health and well-being and how he's doing, versus focusing on how does this affect the top of the draft.
Right.
Right. Agree. So MJ, if you don't mind, I'm
Yeah.
going to transition
Yeah.
to a little more light topic. So, what do you think the Chicago Bears are going to do with that first pick in the NFL draft? I know it's been talked about from multiple teams moving up. We have the Colts, we had the Panthers talked about. We had just the Texans, just multiple teams. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for them, if they decide to trade back, which I assume they'll probably do, I think they can't go lower than 4,
Agree.
in my opinion.
Okay.
There are too many good defensive players at the top of this class that, I get, there's intrigue with a guy like Miles Murphy, Lucas
Mhm.
Van Ness,
Mm-hmm.
even Tyree Wilson to a certain
Mhm.
degree. But, I mean, we'll see what happens with Jalen Carter and things coming up after. But, I mean, you got Will Anderson on the board potentially on there as well. So I think it's really evaluating who is there, if they decide to trade back, who could possibly be there,
Right.
and being prepared for all scenarios. But also like you want to get really good football players in the building. So I don't think they should trade outside of the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to trade back, it better be in those top 3-4 spots, and you make sure you get a blue chip player.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like even if they decide to move back and like recoup and get assets,
Because they could
they're
get a
still-
lot.
They can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they can.
can.
And they have the money too for free agency too. Right.
They're not going to be a immediate
Agree.
overnight success, so you need to bring in guys that you can build around and build a foundation with, and then kind of move forward from there. But the defense has to be much better than it was last year.
So you already alluded to it, and this is a very general question with regards to a blue chipper. So I think the Chicago Bears right now have one blue chipper on their squad, like that's signed for next year, and that's Justin Fields. In your opinion, how many blue chippers do you think a team has to have in order to be, a contending team? Not necessarily a Super Bowl team, because that's a different topic for the Bears, but a contending team.
It obviously depends on the situation, but I say at least 3 to 4 blue chip guys.
Okay. See, I was going a
Obviously-
lot more than that, but
Yeah, I think like foundational pieces. So like you want like a franchise left tackle, you
Mhm.
want like
Agreed.
a franchise quarterback, receiver, and running back are a little bit tougher to say. Like you need a blue chip guy because like
Chiefs just won without a blue chip
Yeah,
receiver.
exactly.
Right, yeah. Well,
I mean, they have
and
Kelsey,
and to be honest with
but-
you, they don't have a blue chip running back either, in my opinion.
Right.
No, they started a 7th round draft pick.
Exactly.
so like those positions are not as highly valued as it once was,
Mhm.
obviously, because like there's not going to be a receiver or running back taken in the top 10, maybe not even the top 15, depending on how everything falls.
Right.
You assume maybe like in the teens that you'll get maybe a run on receivers, but I think maybe 5 guys, because like I'm thinking like quarterback, like left tackle, somebody really good in the secondary, whether it be DB or safety, edge rusher as
Mhm.
well. You need
Yep.
like a premier edge rusher.
Agree.
And then like the rest is kind of like up in the air. Like ideally you want like multiple secondary guys that are really good, maybe not blue chippers, but really good. But edge is a non-negotiable in my opinion.
Okay.
Tackle's a non-negotiable, and quarterback. So I think those are like the core 3. Obviously, the ones that always get picked the highest in drafts.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like you want like a couple. I think it's like a balance of like you have a couple star guys defensively, a couple of star guys offensively, and then just really solid players overall. Like above average stars. Because I mean the Chiefs. Like if you're thinking of like what we're talking about, the Chiefs are. I don't know if they're going to be a model for teams going forward, but you have the lead quarterback. You kind of focus on other potential needs, and like they got young receivers. They have a young receiving core like Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and we're both pretty big in the Super Bowl. But like also, though those non-negotiables kind of stick in my mind, and it kind of checks off the boxes for them. Like they got Kelsey, they got Mahomes, and then you think defensively like Frank Clark,
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones are kind of the marquee guys, and they had like a really solid linebacking core, obviously led by Willie Gay, and then the secondary is also solid too. So I think 4. I would go 4 guys. I think
4? Okay.
And I think that's very doable. Honestly, I think for the Bears, it's more doable if they do trade back, because I still think you can get a blue chip type prospect in those top 4, and you're going to get the type of assets in the next few years that you can continue to do that.
Agreed.
If they do improve this year, they have a lower pick, they have another pick next year to move up.
Right.
And so I think if that's what you're trying to build towards, obviously Will Anderson, I don't know, Devin, if you saw him talk earlier, he really impressed me. Even just the personality, like he had all of them, and there was a lot of media.
Yeah.
He had all of
everyone
us
loving him.
He had all of us just hooked on his every word.
Yeah.
He was moving back and forth on the podium, like because obviously it's hard to hear
he
all
has,
these guys.
He has
but-
the allure of a star player.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. And so to me, Justin Fields has also gotten better at that. I'm not even a Bears fan, but Justin Fields has gotten much better at that. Because Bruce, you talked about this before. He used to be very elusive
Cold. I call
to
him
the
cold.
media, and during Super Bowl week, he was pretty chatty.
He was awesome.
going all over
did
Radio
a bit-
Row there.
Yeah, he was on the not Pat McAfee. He was on what was
Stephen A. Smith.
No. Big Cat. There you go. Big
Oh,
Cat.
yeah,
He was on the show with Big Cat, and he was just the looseness and the relaxed atmosphere. I think it helped him. And to be honest with you, like I learned more about him in that time frame than I did a whole season just watching press conferences of him.
Yeah, I think with like quarterbacks, it's always like tough because everything you say is newsworthy.
True.
You know, even if it's
right.
yeah, even
Don't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
and even if it's the something that's not very serious or whatnot.
Right.
Right.
You know, so I think it seems like, and like there's been obviously a lot of people speculating like, could the Bears take another quarterback this year? But I think the comfortability he has with the organization and the direction they're heading, like they're wanting to build around him. They made in-season trades to build around him. So it's like it may not have panned out, but to me, I think that shows you a sign of like, look, they want this guy long term. It's not just do the first contract and then out. Like they designed the whole offense around his skill set.
Right.
So I think for him, like it was so big to have that because like you think like young quarterbacks, like you need the stability, and someone that like if they bring you in, like you want to make sure like they're all in on you. So I think they answer that this year, and you see it kind of reflected. But like getting back to like Will Anderson, like I think it's just like you get to a point where you're like comfortable with what you're able to do on the field, and his resume speaks for himself.
100%.
He probably should have won the Heisman last year just based on what he did, but I think it's impressive when guys understand how good they are. And to me, I don't worry about like, guys being like cocky or overconfident because like you have to have that to make it
to get to this level.
You have to be a little crazy to be a star in the NFL. Like you don't just have this super normal personality to be that good.
But you have to walk around with a little bit. But to go back to what you were just saying, though, you have to have that swag. You have to have that I'm the best ever. Because there's no way that these guys get to this level and this ability and to be a first round, second round pick without having the thought process of I'm going to be better than you at every single snap. So no, I 100% agree that you have to have that kind of mindset. Otherwise, there won't be sustained success in the NFL.
Yeah, you think about the edge position, like you have to be an alpha now.
Oh yeah,
100%. Like you can't be some people were talking about like how quiet like Tyree Wilson is, but like he's like, to me, I think it's more like quiet confidence. Like he knows who he is as a football player, and he still knows there's untapped potential too.
Yeah.
Just listening a little bit of his interview this morning, so you just want to kind of watch that and how it kind of exudes. And I think this is like a great atmosphere to do that because like you're going to get a variety of questions. Obviously it's going to be like the team specific questions. Maybe they ask about other prospects that were on their team, but like I saw like players like really light up when they're getting asked scheme things, when they're getting asked about aspects of their game. And edge rusher to me is so fascinating because there's so many different body types and styles in this particular class, and you see them understanding who they are and exactly what they bring to the table and what they're good at.
Real quick, Devin, before we continue the football talk, this is your first combine, right?
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's been amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing. I love the opportunity to talk to prospects and getting to know them a little bit more so than just watching them on tape, and getting to see their background and seeing, just how they answer questions and sometimes they'll drop stories in. Like I heard some great stories today from like Keanu Benton, Keanu White, opened up a little bit about his injury. That was like a freak accident, and like you get like these great opportunities to talk to these guys and like peel back the layers. They're gonna get asked, leading up to the draft, and even when they get drafted, like the basic stuff. But you get to be here and get to ask them directly before those teams reporters get to them and the rumors about who they're being linked to.
Right.
And it's great. I love the ability to do that. Senior Bowl was like another taste of that. I did that for the first time too this cycle. So kind of that I know it's not like always you get that one-on-one time with players. Like obviously it's going to be mobs for some of the big players, but I think it's cool to talk to some of the guys that are at the tables and not on the podium.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of them are being a little overlooked in terms of like what they bring to the table. So I had good conversations with like Kobe Wooden from Auburn, Shaka Hayward from Duke.
Right.
So these are guys that are probably gonna go probably day 3, but have talent that can fill up an NFL roster. And as we know, those day 3 guys sometimes make a lot more impact than the day 1 and day 2 players.
You get to provide the depth that's needed for championship ball clubs.
Right.
Yeah.
They really do. So whether they're going to be a starter right away, or they're going to be a filling guy, or the rotational guy, yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree.
Like we said, there was a 7th-round running back starting for the Chiefs
Right, exactly.
in the Super Bowl this year. So you really shouldn't be overlooking those guys, even though it's,
Right.
obviously it is fun to go talk to the Will Anderson when the quarterbacks get here, all that. But
right, but yeah. So one of the other things, so we're not going to act like seasoned veterans or anything like that because this is only our 2nd year here.
Yeah, we know nothing.
So what's the one thing, if you aside from what you already explained about, what's the one experience that you've like been a part of here that's been like, man, this is a lot better than what I saw on like NFL Network or on ESPN or like highlight type stuff. What's the big thing that's better than in person than it was watching it on TV?
I'm gonna go a little bit off the radar here. I actually didn't know about this until this year. It was the NFL Women's Forum.
Really?
Yeah.
And I got to cover that yesterday, and it was actually really cool because not only were there women coaches like talking about some of their journeys, coaching and breaking through the NFL. Like you had GMs like Andrew Berry, Brandon Bean, really advocating for women in the NFL, women in sports. Brian Dabble from the Giants.
Awesome guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
Yeah, he's great. Ron Rivera was in the crowd supporting, his assistant running backs coach, Jennifer King. So I think the kind of camaraderie that comes from that, and that while the combine is focusing on prospects, they're also taking time to give aspiring women in sports and in the NFL an opportunity to network with coaches, with GMs. And learn from them too. Like they did breakout sessions as well yesterday after it closed to the media. They met with like executives earlier today and did like a roundtable. So they're getting like really, really good experience, and just kind of shows you how the game is continuing to evolve. So that was like something like off the kind of something that's not heavily publicized, but was going on. That really impressed me, and just how they have organized it. Because when they started it in 2017, there was only 15 women that participated in it in the forum, the program, and this year was up to 41. So they're really growing numbers wise. They had 6 NFL women coaches talking on the panel and talking about their careers. So like as opposed like the kind of the juxtaposition of prospects, you have the coaching ranks, and women getting into the coaching ranks. So that was a really cool like step back moment. Like it was good for me, like I got down here and like, you already know you're going to talk to prospects all week, but it was a good change up because like, there's a whole another side of the business that you're not thinking about this week. And obviously there's been coaching hires during the week this week too. So it kind of all ties in, and I thought it was really cool to experience kind of both sides of the coin, like the college side with prospects and then professional sides with coaching.
I love that answer because it's almost humbling just even hearing you like say that. It's like something, because to be honest with you, I didn't even know that anything like that was happening here at the NFL Combine. So that's awesome. That really is. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. I just think like for me, like my biggest thing would be like anybody watching or like anyone covering the draft, like find a way to get down here, because like you get such a unique opportunity and access that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah, true.
Because like for me, like I'm covering the Philadelphia area, so like next year they're gonna have Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Tyke Smith's coming back to Georgia, so there's like some high profile Philly guys probably gonna be in the class next year, but tracking them down and like trying to set up those interviews took like months to capture, and here you walk in front of a player and get to talk to them, for a 20-minute period. And that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I love that. So you said you covered Philly area. Were you at the Super Bowl?
I was not actually. So we had like 11 or 12 people on staff
Yeah.
down there, and so essentially, if I went, there would have been nothing for me to cover. You know?
Right. That's fair.
But you would have been there, though.
That's true. That's true. Plus, I was coming back off of Senior Bowl week, so
Yeah.
it would have been hard to like hit that back to back anyway. But it was cool to see it happen. Like the first, I had started with the Inquirer in August.
So your first season.
Yeah, it was the first season. Like watching from afar, I covered the Bears and Eagles game in person because they needed me to sub in for someone that was sick. So that was a cool experience to do that. But other than that, I was watching from afar and just like, obviously keeping up with it, watching for potential needs when draft season came around. But yeah, it was cool to watch and see it unfold. And it was a really good game. It was one of the better games I can remember, like over the last couple of years in terms of the drama in it, like how it really went down to the last moments and whatnot. And the high level quarterback play too.
Yeah.
I thought, a lot of people were questioning like Jalen Hurts, like how good is he? Can he be elite in a game of elite quarterbacks? And I think he answered those questions, and you're probably going to see him get a big contract this offseason. So I think, that momentum is certainly going to help Philly. But, on the flip side of things, you got to figure out now for them, over the next couple of weeks, free agency approaches. Like
they got a lot of guys to pay.
Yeah,
they got a lot of guys to pay.
Yeah.
Who they bring back? Who do they move on from? And really get into this class.
Do we know how much money they have right now?
How much cap space they got?
Do we know off the top
I
of
don't
our
know
heads?
off the top of my head.
I'm gonna jump.
Luckily, that's not my beat. So I'm
You're
not
the biggest cap guy.
Yeah, I'm not a numbers guy. For the cap, but
I like Spotrac. Ooh.
They're pretty decent.
Yeah, they're not bad. So actually, you know what though? Before while I'm looking this up, I do want to ask you about something though. So one of the things that I love about Jalen Hurts though this year, obviously his running ability is like, I'm not trying to go my Bears route because I try not, I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to. But one of the things that I kind of agree with you on 100% is the critique of Jalen Hurts as a throwing quarterback, because they were saying, he can't make those elite throws, he can't make those small window throws, and you saw that in the Super Bowl you already commented how great the play was in that Super Bowl. So for those of us that haven't had opportunities to watch Eagles games during the course of the season, how was that maturation process done, and what was so efficient with it in developing him as a quarterback this year?
Well, getting him a bona fide number one receiver, A.J. Brown certainly helps with a great wingspan and toughness to make catches. And I think just the trust in the scheme and his receivers around him. It just wasn't A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith had a big season this year as well. Quez Watkins had his moments. Zach Pascal had his moments. So, the chemistry with Dallas Goedert, obviously, too. He missed some time with injury, but when he got back, it seemed like he didn't miss a beat. So I would say, the comfortability with his weapons really advanced his growth as a thrower. And just being a confident quarterback in general. He's a guy that puts in a lot of work in the offseason. He, refined his mechanics and worked with Tom Brady's old throwing coach. And
you hear that? Tom Brady's old throwing coach. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Don't get me started.
But you can tell there is a dedication and want to be great. And I think that's another aspect of quarterback we don't talk about too often. And every year he gets better as a passer. And it's really started since college. Obviously, he didn't play his entire time with Alabama in favor of Tua, but when he was called on to make plays, he did it with both his arm and his feet. And obviously at Oklahoma, he made another step. It was obviously a little rough as a rookie, and then second year taking some lumps, but third year really all came together. So to me, I think it was just about the consistency of focusing on the fundamentals, focusing on what he needed to work on, and really honing in on that, and then building a really nice relationship with his receiving core, and believing that they're going to make plays. Because I think quarterbacks can sometimes get caught up in, is this worth it though? Is 50-50 ball? Is it worth it to continuously push the ball down the field, even though I might have an interception or two? like that Chicago game I referenced earlier, when I went to that game, he didn't start off great, and we found out later he had a sprained shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he still threw a 60-yard bomb to AJ Brown in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
So
okay.
Sure you do.
It's
But,
fine. It's fine.
But yeah, he threw it with, like great velocity, great touch, and put on the outside shoulder. So like,
It was an elite throw.
yeah, like, so those throws have been like showing up over the course of the season, but like everyone was like enamored with like how they utilize RPO to their advantage and like
Right.
use his legs to their advantage.
Right.
But like when he's asked to throw the football, like he can do it, you know? Like it's not like a huge detriment. And I think people like overvalue like how much separation like AJ Brown might create or Devontae Smith might create. But there's also times on tape where he's throwing into possible windows. Like there's like at least 3 or 4 touchdowns this year he threw to AJ Brown where Paul probably should have got intercepted, even in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
No, even the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He threw that. I believe it was a post route to Brown, and he like tracked it very well and like faked out the DB. But to have that supreme confidence in your receiver, I think, makes a world of difference.
He's throwing him open, and he's throwing where he believes he's going to be, not looking for somebody to be open.
Anticipatory throws.
It's a next level understanding that he showed this year that he hasn't showed before. That's what Justin Fields needs to do.
Hey, third year.
That's
Third
what
year.
Justin Fields needs to do.
third
Poor
year.
guy.
I have a philosophy that third year for NFL players are the year that it all kind
Agree.
of clicks for them.
Agree.
Because like when
If there's consistency amongst the coaching
Right.
too, though.
right, that
You have to
that's a
include that in
caveat
that.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like you see a lot of guys in their third years, in their fourth years, like when they get more towards the back end of their initial contracts, you see them start to put it together.
Yeah.
Agree.
And I think
That's
you
why.
have-
That's why you wait for that option.
Right,
That's
right,
why
right.
it's designed that way.
right, but also like when you have the stability in your organization, that the continuity, like even if there are changes, like maybe you do it in house and like they, like this year they or after I lost my train of thought, but they lost their offensive coordinator to the Colts, and then they promoted Brian Johnson.
We should talk to JJ about that right now.
But like
Steichen.
But like the continuity, I think is so important, like for a player's development. Too.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like if you have a revolving door, like you can't expect a guy to break out. In
There's
year
no
3 or year 4.
sustainability and success at all.
Yeah.
Not at all with something like that. So one of the last things that I do want to ask you about, if you don't mind, I know your time's precious though. So
I have plenty. We could talk. For as long as you want. I don't mind.
That's fair.
Awesome.
That's fair. So how is Jalen Hurts doing? Like I know he's like having like not surgery. I think that he was having something going on with his shoulder after the Super Bowl.
Did he
correct?
have
Like,
surgery?
have you heard anything on
I
that?
don't
Have you
think
heard about how he's doing?
surgery. I haven't heard much from him, understandably so.
Right. Right.
So we'll see over the next couple of weeks and see how it progresses. But I probably would expect like he's probably going to do some heavy, intense rehabbing on the shoulder. I don't know if they go all the way with surgery. Maybe if they do, maybe a minor procedure. That's just speculation. I don't actually know.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just about resting it and getting it healthy. And I think
strengthening everything.
Yeah, strengthening it. It was still incredible. I mean, he's dealing with the sprained shoulder, and like I think people like don't understand the difficulty of playing through that. Like
True.
that's
As a running quarterback, not just a quarterback, because
True.
he's got the duality of, I might get hit in the shoulder because dudes are trying to put me in the ground, and that is, that's really hard mentally, let alone just actually physically doing it. But mentally of, okay, I got to throw that 60-yard touchdown. Ow, that really hurt. Or I'm going to go try and get an extra yard for a first down when Nick Bolton is screaming across the field. It's not easy.
yeah. It's to me like maybe it's a little biased, but like it's just impressive to watch how he handles everything.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Philadelphia is such a intense market to be in.
Very passionate.
Very
Well
very
said.
very
Well said. Very passionate.
very passionate fan base that
Intense.
will cling to every word, cling to every moment.
Yeah.
And he was able to navigate it flawlessly. Like they, even when he was hurt and didn't play the rest of the regular season with his shoulder, he still downplayed it. the severity, like dealing with some of the ridiculous questions he got during Super Bowl week. The reporter like going up to him and saying like I was wrong about you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
That was incredible. By the way, can I speak to that? I
Yeah.
apologize for interrupting you, but to have him handle that in that situation, when to be honest with you, it's celebratory, but also obviously you're in preparation mode too, and to have something like that happen, and okay, like I don't know, I just felt that was kind of like an awkward thing, and then a part of that industry, that was just kind of a different situation for Jalen to handle, to navigate through, and I think he did the best he could with it. To be honest with you, just okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing this. What happened?
all right. So
I'm missing something.
Dude, it
I don't
was-
know.
So
It
it
was-
was like
it's
the
weird.
first. It was like the first night of like media night.
Yeah.
For the Super Bowl, and like he was taking questions, and there was a reporter that kind of went up to him and was.
Sorry, go ahead.
no.
Continue. You're good.
Yeah, there was a reporter that went up to him and was like, hey, I just want to apologize for being wrong about you as a quarterback. It was something along those lines.
Yeah, like
That's so weird.
like I think.
Did he say something
He said
like
cool.
horrifically
Yeah, that's what he
bad?
said.
He said
Cool.
Did he say something like? Did the reporter say something horrifically bad about him before?
I don't know the background behind
No,
it.
I don't know the background. of what
I
he
think
said.
that I think
so
it was I
weird.
think it was just normal like local conversation, local talk that like, oh, I don't think this guy's gonna pan out or blah blah blah. And I'm paraphrasing,
Who
obviously. but-
cares?
right,
Like unless you said something just terrible.
right. I
Yeah,
agree.
but look, my biggest thing is like just in media in general, like you never want to be the story.
No.
Like
the fact that we're talking about it right now,
Yeah, I
the NFL
I know we're like a month removed and still
Right.
talking about it, but like
That's wild.
you don't want to ever be the story. So like for me, like the questioning mindset, like for me, I like try to like put myself in the shoes of a player or like a coach or personnel and think about like if I got this question, like would I be satisfied
Yeah.
with it?
What-
Like,
what's,
would I
what's a
answer
question
it?
I would want to get out?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So like I don't want to go into like a whole diatribe about it, but like to me, like
I feel you.
you just gotta like recognize, like have self-awareness, like
Yeah.
this is not the time to do it.
Right.
Like if you were gonna talk to him like one off the side,
Right. Like after he
right,
walks
right.
up,
Walk
be like,
up,
hey,
man,
bro, I'm so
right,
sorry.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, we're good. Yeah,
yeah, like
cool. Nah,
that's fine.
Right.
Like
but even then, why?
yeah, it's still like
I don't think it's
you
a,
like to me like I'm cool with people like changing their opinions on things.
Of course.
Like we're wrong all the time.
We're
This
human.
is
People are
this-
human.
This is the like people are wrong all the time.
We're in the business
but,
of being wrong. Yeah.
That too.
but like you can like own up to it without making it a big deal.
Correct.
That's my
I just don't think it was an appropriate platform to do something like that at that moment.
And not in the biggest week of the guy's life. Like
Yeah.
that's just wild.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that. I
Not a good
can't
thing.
imagine.
Listen,
doing that.
I consumed pretty much everything that
Oh, yeah.
happened. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and I wasn't even there, so like I knew all the things that were happening down there, even though I wasn't down there. So
That's wild.
Fair.
my timeline was just filled with it. So and
Mm-hmm.
then like working at my job, you see the stories come in.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Like I read like a lot of the stories, and it was like incredible, like what you can get out of that week in terms of story wise.
Oh yeah.
All the connections, the connecting pieces. It's like, the thing that was talked about a lot in the women's forum yesterday was like how the relationships always interconnect.
Mhm.
Like Lori Locust, she's the defensive qualities coach for the Titans now, but she was with the Buccaneers.
Mhm.
She got her job with Bruce Arians because Bruce Arians was like hanging around the AAF and like noticed her. And then like Mike Vrabel the Titans and Buccaneers did a joint practice this year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that gave Vrabel a chance to like look at Locust and see how she's coaching
Yeah.
with the Buccaneers. She got let go with the Buccaneers end of the year and they hired
And they
her
grabbed. Yeah.
a couple weeks later. So like the business is always interconnected. And I thought it was very interesting to see how like the connections just add up over time.
Interactions are an amazing thing.
Devin, last question I have for you is if you had to, I know the Eagles have got some good draft capital.
Oh, you put him in GM chair?
Oh, I'm putting him in the GM chair.
GM chair.
What you can pick any of the selections, any of the slots they're in. Give me somebody you really want to see in an
Oof.
Eagles uniform next year.
Zach Harrison.
Okay.
Okay.
I think about You know, and it's going to be a little bit of a different scheme, obviously, with the side coming in. But you think about how they like their big edges.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham is getting up there in age. It's probably on the last legs of his career. Fletcher Cox might not be coming back.
Yeah.
Javon Hargrave is kind of a question mark. For me, Harrison, and we'll see what he weighs in, but he on at least on the website, he's like 6'6", 272. Has an incredible length.
Jeez.
And to me, like,
It's just
there
not
is
fair.
like there's
It's not
no
fair.
yeah no so there's no rush to me, like, to make him a immediate like starter.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like maybe he's like a second or third round pick that they use and take and develop. It's like Joshua is a perfect example of a guy that
Yeah.
they took, they developed, and he really turned in his best year this year. So I would like to see Zach Harrison. I think he fits their prototype.
Mhm.
And to me, like, when you look at the 10th overall pick, Tyree's probably not there.
Mhm.
Miles Murphy, maybe not there. When you look at edge rushers, and obviously they have a need at DB, but we'll see what happens with free agency first before
Right.
I want to dive more into that.
Right.
And then, you know, Lucas Van Ness, I think 10 is probably too early to take him. So you get these dudes like random, like not random, but dudes with these rare size qualities, you know. And I think if you don't get one of those, you know, big name guys or the guys that are expected to go top 15, top 20, who do you get on day two? And to me, he is a player that keeps sticking in my mind as a potential end of the second round type of player. And maybe he's supposed to test out the charts too. He ran like a 10-second 100 in
I
high
saw
school.
that.
Yeah, in
he's
tennis shoes.
stupid fast.
I didn't know that.
He's stupid fast.
Yeah, in the rain in tennis shoes, not even spikes in track. So he's going to test out the charts.
That's disgusting.
And the Eagles are known for drafting athletic freaks. They drafted Jordan Davis last year.
Yeah,
and some of the
yeah.
other picks
I
they
remember
made.
watching him run.
So
Same.
I think it I don't want to say it makes sense, but to me, he feels like an Eagle when you look at him and look at his build and what he brings to the table.
Because those numbers that he's yeah, okay. Fair.
I like it.
I love it.
All right. Well, Devin, thank you so much for coming on, sir, taking some of your time. Good to finally, you know, meet you in person.
For sure.
And
Absolutely.
let people know where to follow you, where to.
Yeah, so on Twitter at @RealD_Jackson is my Twitter handle. And all my work is at the Philadelphia Inquirer under the Eagles tab of our sports department. So
Awesome.
I'll have articles throughout the week.
Awesome.
Got a couple features planned too
Nice.
for later in the week that I'm excited to share. Yeah.
I love it. Hey, and if Hargrove wants to come over by the Bears, I'm cool with it, just so you know.
If you want to pay him premium money, go ahead.
Hey, we got the money.
Oh, my
Bears got the
gosh.
money.
The Eagles not going to be able to match that. So.
1.1 million from what I just saw for 2023. 1.1.
That's how much cap space they
That's how
have.
much cap space.
Yikes.
Yeah.
There's going to be some big
Got some
changes.
work to do. Yeah. Got some work to do. All right. Well,
Awesome.
everybody, we're going to go to commercial real quick. And everybody, thank Devin. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. Check out all his stuff. Going to have some great work this week. So,
Great
Devin,
guy right here.
thank you again, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464.
Here's to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office, stage, nursery. Sorry. Erie Insurance offers products that lots of other companies don't. That's a big deal, and it's a good deal too. And with Erie, you get your own independent agent, not a giant corporate call center or some online robot. you meet with a real person like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
Here's to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office. Stage.
Oh wow!
I'm just gonna.
We're just jumping right in. Huh?
I'm just gonna bring it. It's not like we've ever pretended to be that professional.
That's true. That's fair.
So So really, no on karaoke. I just feel like I could get some Hotel California out of you after a few beers. No,
No,
that's fine.
All right, so can we get the beer or alcohol
Stay in
choice?
touch.
What is your alcohol choice?
I don't like beer.
Nice. Well, I mean that's fine.
I don't either. That's fine.
Yeah.
Fair.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Yeah,
How's it going?
I'm good. Is this
Rob,
on camera?
Yeah.
You in?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, you're good.
Camera's right
Camera
there.
Fantastic.
So,
You're good.
all
Good.
right, gentlemen. I'm just gonna.
Do I use
start.
this?
You can use this. Yeah, that is a mic.
Are we supposed to pass it along?
I'm just gonna
You could. So this is cranked up. It'll catch a good amount of the noise, but that is also on.
So just in case.
So if you talk into that, it will register your voice too. Is Aaron on the screen? All right. Well, NFL Network is playing Aaron, so we might as well start there.
Wait, why? What is he in the news?
I don't think
I
so.
haven't heard from him.
I would
actually.
assume they're
Is he
just
in the news?
I've been in a Hobbit-like hole,
A Hobbit,
so
like-
I haven't noticed.
driving me absolutely insane. I don't know. Whoever wants to start, he's out of the darkness. He's into the light and still not telling us anything.
Listen,
So-
I think he's not holding them hostage. First of all, like we
Right.
forget. Sure, it's inconvenient for fans who want an answer,
Mm-hmm.
but it became public on March 8th last year. It's March 1st right now.
Yeah.
The general manager and the president of the team have said in recent weeks they just need an answer before free agency. Like,
So he's got 14 days.
he's got 14 days. We'll get an answer probably in the next week.
I'm saying late next week.
Yeah, it's an important life decision, and like, sure, and when we quote unquote complain about it, it's joking because this is nothing. Like,
Right.
it's fine. I know Dan Patrick said it this morning. Like, I don't want to hear anyone complaining that they're tired of it. I'm not tired of it.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, it would be nice to have a resolution to like move forward with our stories and whatever. But listen, the guy's 39 years old. He's played for 18 years.
Yeah.
He has to weigh a very important decision.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on what's going to happen, but we don't know until he decides what he wants to do. And I think the whole, it's inconvenient. He's holding him hostage. He's not dragging it out. You were here for Brett Favre. It was
So I was just.
Oh,
I was about
yeah.
to-
just
way
gonna
worse
say,
than this.
I went back and looked about a week or so ago because I knew I remembered there was a year where it was like a couple days before the draft. And
Mhm.
Favre finally, it was April 25th. I don't remember if this was like 2004 or 5 or 6, but somewhere in there, it was April 25th before he finally let them know.
Oh
So
my God.
It was.
this
it
is
was
nothing.
It was
you know?
chaotic.
This is
I remember that all
like
over.
to me, like that's a little bit much because you've already gone through free agency,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
Rodgers was on the roster at this point. I don't remember, but that's a little much. Free agency, March 15th, March 13th, whatever you want to do. It's just the legal tampering period.
Yeah.
As long as it's around there,
Yeah.
it's fine. And look, it's not like the Packers people are sitting there going, "Oh, wait a minute, you mean we might not have him? Now what do we do?" They had planned for everything.
right.
So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys about that. What are your thoughts on how the Packers organization has been handling the situation? Period.
I think they don't want to tip their hand one way or another. And listen, we're at a stage in Jordan Love's career where he's ready to start by all accounts.
Yeah. We don't know if he's going to be any good.
We don't know if he's
but
going to be
it's
good,
time.
but
Right.
it's time for him to see. And there are people who are like, oh, like last year or the year before, Gutekunst said we're not trading him. We want him back.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't definitively said that this year, which isn't a surprise to me
No.
because maybe this is like such a minute detail, but why would he say we want Aaron and then Rodgers retires and then Jordan Love's your quarterback, but Jordan Love's like, you didn't want me?
Yeah.
Right.
There's
right, you
so
can't-
many other things that play there. And I just think if you do a quick look at the timeline, we talked to Gutekunst during the bye week, December 6th,
Mhm.
and he said, yeah, we want him back. Well, of course, you're in the middle of the season. What are you going to say?
Right.
Then January 13th, I believe I asked him, maybe it was you, I can't remember, who one of us said,
We want everyone
Well,
back.
it's who gives you the best chance to win, right? I think I asked him, who gives you the best
Yeah.
chance to win, Rodgers or Love? And he said, well, look, you're comparing a 4-time MVP to a guy who's never played. It was a little bit of a back, he was backpedaling. And then now we're in full non-committal mode. So, which makes sense if you look at those answers in the context of the time when they were asked, what else are they going to say? And like, look, right now, he may be saying, I think you might have brought this up, Matt, he may be saying all these great things about Jordan Love because Rodgers is going to come back and he's going to have to trade Love, so he wants everyone to think he's great. Now, there's just so much. It's not just if this, then this.
Right.
It's all we have to do right now is try to interpret whatever they say as best as possible. Now,
and I try not to. I mean, I try to report the news, and that's my job.
Instead of like reading between the lines. But
I
like,
think he's done a really good job.
I'm not an analyst.
He's done a really good job though of like kind of not being fully committal to anything.
Right.
Yep.
So, and that's exactly what we heard in his press conference yesterday. Like he just did a very good job.
Goody, you mean?
In years past, he would have no problem saying he wants Rodgers back. Because that wouldn't rub Love the wrong way because nobody expects him to start. Now, this right now is the year where, okay, he's ready to start. He thinks he's going to start. He realizes that he could request a trade if Rodgers is back.
Right.
So there's no point in rubbing Love the wrong way, like I said before, you have to. And conversely, there's no point in saying we want to trade him or whatever because for all we know, sure, if the Packers are irritated with Aaron Rodgers for whatever he says on McAfee for all this stuff about keeping them in the dark, pun 100% intended.
Nice.
You don't want to irritate the guy who you might want back because if there's someone who would make a spite trade request, it's probably him.
Yeah.
Here's what I wonder.
So just play it 50-50, and that's what Goody's
He's doing a
done
great
pretty
job.
well. Yeah.
And I know we're supposed to have the answers here, but my question is this: what happens if Rodgers comes back and Love really still wants to play? And I remember asking Jordan in late October, maybe early November. I said, "Hey, if Rodgers comes back, would you ask for a trade?" And at that point, he's like, that's something my agent and I would have to think about, or at least talk about.
Yeah.
Not necessarily we are going to, but now we're at the point where would he do that? And even if he did ask for a trade, would the Packers say, "No, we've invested 3 years in you. We still think you're going to be our starter. You're going to have to sit."
What could you get for him anyways? Like, to be honest with you, that's
a great question. I've done a lot of asking here this week about the asking price for a Rodgers trade and gotten basically everyone said, well, it's a 1+ maybe, depending on what commitment Rodgers
if you can get
made.
2 firsts for Fields, you could probably get.
Well, the problem is I don't think you're getting more than 1 first-round pick for Rodgers because no one knows how much longer he's going to play. But with Love, I'm not sure at this point if you can get more than a 3. Could you? Wow. Matt,
I don't know.
Well, here let's just think
And
about
I think
it this
that's
way.
why he's trying to boost Jordan's value just in case he has to trade.
Well,
which is really smart.
Let's think about it this way. He was picked 26th. That meant, and they traded up to get him. That meant nobody was going to take him in the first round, probably. Right? Even though they traded up to do it, the chances of someone taking him 27th or 32nd. So no one.
Well, they traded up because they thought they had to get ahead of someone to do it.
Right. But
probably Indianapolis.
There's a decent chance. There's at least a chance that no one had a first round grade out.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than the Packers. So that eliminates that right there. He's done nothing to increase his stock.
No.
Right.
Well, he hasn't been able to.
Right. So could you get a second? I think that's a stretch.
You might be able to get a conditional second depending on. Like if he goes to a team where he's going to start right
it's
away.
A third, and if he throws for 3,000,
Yeah.
Well, the Jets owner has said he's willing to give up, multiple first-round picks to get his guy or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would be Aaron Rodgers because the other quarterback he's in the mix for is a free agent, so he doesn't have to give up.
Yeah,
anything.
to me, the compensation for Love is the bigger question mark. If he were to be traded,
But-
and I don't think the Packers want to trade him.
I was just going to say, would it even be whatever the value might be? I feel like it would be idiotic to trade him because you're still dealing with a quarterback where year to year you don't know what's going on.
You've invested all this time in Love, then you're just going to throw it away for a pick, like the 75th pick of the draft.
A third-round pick that they're not even good at
unless they think that they've seen. I mean, there could be 2 possibilities. They've seen enough to think that Love's ready and is going to be good, or they've seen enough to say no, he's not going to be.
I mean, I think it's important to look at the exact words that. I hate to overanalyze it here, but Goody said he's ready to be a starting quarterback. He didn't say he's ready to be our starting quarterback.
And he said the next step is for him to start.
And I'm not trying to just pump my own work here, but I will. I wrote a story. And I asked Goody this yesterday. I said, and I was around in 08 when they transitioned. People forget Rodgers was very good in 2008, but they were 6-10.
Yeah.
Like
their team was bad.
Yeah. And the next year they were 4-4. So what is that? 10 and I'm bad at math. 10 and 14 through 24 games. Regardless of how good Love is or is not, there's still probably going to be a transition period. And so that was my question to Goody. Are you better equipped to deal with that now? Do you remember how you dealt with it? I mean, the answer was whatever.
You asked Mike that today too, didn't you?
Yeah, it's that sort of. But essentially, and then someone followed up after I asked Goody that if there's going to be a transition period, no matter what, then why not just rip the Band-Aid off and start sooner rather than later?
And that's the thing. I think the greatness of Rodgers over the years, including him winning 2 of the last 3 MVPs, has this front office convinced, whether it's reasonable or not, that they can still contend for a championship in a weak conference. So why is possible? And much like with Mason Crosby after the 2021 season, I think the Packers truly think that's not the what Aaron Rodgers still has, what we saw last year, whether it's the thumb, the ribs, the rookie receiver, Sammy Watkins not knowing what he was doing, the injuries on the offensive line. I think they think with Aaron Rodgers, they can still contend for a Super Bowl. So in Brian Gutekunst's mind, why would he willingly give up a chance to contend for a Super Bowl? He knows Jordan Love is not going to lead them to a Super Bowl this year or help them contend. Long term, he's the better option, undoubtedly, just because of his age. But why would you give up the chance to contend for a Super Bowl if you don't have to, regardless of whatever financial implications there might be?
I don't think there's a great decline in Rodgers' skill. I really
Neither do I. There's a decline, but not that steep.
But go look at the throw. I believe it was in the last drive of the Lions game. It was down the right sideline to Romeo Doubs. Doubs dropped it or whatever. It was an absolute seed. That Matt? It was down the right sideline. And that throw was as good as any quarterback. Now, I think his bigger problem last year was maybe the injuries, maybe a lack of trust in the thing. And maybe,
I think that was a huge part.
And maybe he just doesn't believe in maybe he doesn't love the offense. I think it's more of I don't want to use the word mental in the wrong capacity, but I think he's on a mental hurdle than a physical hurdle in terms of why he could or could not be great.
So is it a mental hurdle with trust with supporting cast around him?
Supporting cast, play calling, game plan.
We heard so much about guys not running the right routes and the mental errors, whether it's Amari Rodgers or Sammy Watkins or
were those route adjustments? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Matt. Were those route adjustments
could be
according to the zones?
It could be anything. It could be not knowing the right plays, not knowing the hand signals.
We've also heard him complain about not liking pre-snap motion. This offense is based on pre-snap motion.
That's what the NFL is.
So when he started complaining about pre-snap motion, I think I made the comment to Matt, I'm like, and some other comments that he's made. I think I said, it took Rodgers 7 or 8 years to get sick of McCarthy. I wonder if it's only taken 3 for him to get sick of LaFleur. I say that sort of in jest, but there is a hint of truth to it there as well.
So Bruce and I were talking about this yesterday, and kind of to your comment, Matt, about this championship window that they might still have. Correct me if I'm wrong. The only quarterback, other than Rodgers, if he stays in the NFC, that's been to a NFC championship game is Jalen Hurts, unless Jimmy Garoppolo stays. Right?
I would have to think.
No Brady, obviously.
No Brady. Nobody else in the
in the north,
south.
Nobody else.
So
I do know this, and this means nothing, but the NFC North has the second longest streak of non-Super Bowl appearances of any division.
No surprise.
Packers. I don't believe there's been an NFC North team in the Super Bowl since the Packers.
Correct.
You're right.
Listen, I think I don't because I think he's going to play. I think listening to him on that podcast today and just hearing him talk throughout the year is like
it was 101 minutes.
Yeah, he said he feared retirement, but when he contemplated it on this retreat, he went on he came to peace with it. So that's fine. But reading between the lines of everything he said about, still being able to play and doing this for the relationships and all that, it really seems like he wants to go somewhere where he enjoys coming to work every day. And I honestly think it's down to the Jets or the Packers. Yes, he knows Nathaniel Hackett. That's fine. But why would he want to go somewhere new for a year or two when this is a guy who said on this podcast, I want to win a Super Bowl, but I have nothing left to prove in terms of winning a second ring or any. He was like, I do this for the people. David Bakhtiari, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb.
Mercedes
Listen,
Lewis,
there's Andy Gruber's an equipment manager in Green Bay. Red Batty, who's been their equipment manager for 30 years. Like, honestly, and I'm not kidding, those are the people like Rodgers enjoys coming to work with every day. I don't think he would want to start anew. So he's not going to come out and say, I don't want to be traded, because who knows what happens when they sit down and maybe Goody describes kind of his vision for the team, and Rodgers is like, we can't contend for a title, so he doesn't want to close any doors.
Okay.
But I am a full believer that Aaron Rodgers is going to want to return to Green Bay. It's just a matter of will the team want him.
I saw this with Favre when I covered the end of Favre's tenure. It's hard enough when you're 37 years old and most of your teammates are 25. It's hard enough just with that. As you get older and everybody else stays the same, relationships are hard to build. That's hard enough right then and there. Right. But then you throw in going to a new place.
It's just a new stressor. It's a new.
So that makes it even. I talked to Rich Gannon last year. I did a piece about. I think I talked to 5 quarterbacks: Rich Gannon, Matt Hasselbeck, Eli Manning, Orlovsky, and Kurt Warner. About if you were Rodgers, would you stay? Would you go? And Rich Gannon, who changed teams fairly late in his career. Actually, I think he might end up winning MVP, right? Late in his career, said he didn't realize how hard it was at that age, how much work you had to put in to change teams. Like it's a lot of work. Yeah. Matt Hasselbeck, on the flip side, who changed teams from Seattle to Tennessee, said that it was the greatest thing that happened to him because it rejuvenated him a little bit, and late in his career. So it's different for everybody, but you just have to you have to realize that there are factors other than just football, and I realize relationships in the locker room, that's football stuff. Right. But there's more to it than just the stuff that maybe you see.
It's the human aspect that like a lot of people fail to kind of seeing out of all.
Matt makes a great point about you're used to seeing the same equipment guys. Whenever guys come, like Packers will bring in a free agent or they'll pick up somebody on waivers. What's the first thing they always say? Well, I just had to learn where the cafeteria was. Right. I had to learn where the meeting room was.
You think Aaron Rodgers wants to do all that?
And think about doing that.
He can't drive his golf cart to work.
Doing that in the same place, to the same time for 18 years, and now all of a sudden you're thrown into, a new environment.
He's talked so much about, like, there's no NFL town like Green Bay. Like, something as small, and I guarantee you, something as small as him being able to drive across the street in a golf cart with David Bakhtiari or go grocery shopping without getting bombarded. Like, he has talked so many times about being in a town like Green Bay and how it fits him and his personality and whatever.
Yeah, because going to New York,
he would do fine in New York.
Really?
He can handle it. Like,
here's the other thing: the Jets training they're in New Jersey, right?
Yeah,
it's not even really New York.
It's not New York. It's
the only
New York papers are a little.
The only thing I'm kind of curious about with that though is if we're talking relationships and everything like that. He has great relationships with the Green Bay press and everything like that up there. But obviously, I mean, I don't know personally, but the New York is a completely different animal. So I'm sure that
I think what you saw with Brady when he went to Tampa. Not that it was a tough media market. But Brady gave very little. Brady's press conferences in Tampa were like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he just
after wins. Too, I remember
he just was done with that.
Yeah,
thing,
I don't think that will come into play. I know Tiki Barber was on. I grew up on New York sports radio, so I've been listening to all of that these past.
Very underrated guy, by the way.
Tiki Barber,
yes,
football player.
Yes.
Yeah, because his take that Rodgers won't be able to handle the New York media is ridiculous.
No, I'm talking about football player.
Yeah,
I'm talking football player.
Listen. Yes, they would probably be more confrontational.
Yeah.
And his name would be splashed on the back pages. And, the first back page would be, okay, you don't like the vaccine? You're playing for the team whose owner is like Woody Johnson. That's Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
So,
that could be an entertainment.
But he's a guy he's 39 years old. He's done this for a long time. He'd be able to handle it.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say like his relationships with the media in Green Bay are like going to play a reason in him staying. I'm saying like the people he sees in the locker room every day, the PR staff who he's worked with.
But he did give in his heartfelt message at the end of the season, he did mention you guys like that.
Well, not me.
What?
People who have covered him his whole career. I've only covered him for 4 years.
Don't sell yourself short. You have a really good relationship.
I wouldn't say it's really good.
Better than most. Okay.
I don't know about that.
We're trying to hype you up.
I appreciate that.
Give you that.
But I think that's part of it. Obviously, that wouldn't completely change it.
I just don't know if he wants that much of a drastic change at this point in his career.
One of the
That's
things,
totally fair.
And I was gonna say he totally shot a hole in my thought process of why he would want to go through all the AFC quarterbacks like Josh and Justin and all those guys out there. And
but I don't think that's
that
how a
doesn't matter to
competitor like him thinks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we think.
That's how we think.
yeah,
That's the biggest thing I
But
learned in this business.
How
is-
he thinks is, I can beat all those guys.
Right.
and
Aaron
of course,
Rodgers.
of
That's the
course.
biggest thing I learned early on in this business, and I'll give you just a real quick story about how, like, when I first realized it. Mike Holmgren, when he was coaching the Packers, they brought Rick Meyer in here, and Rick Meyer was bad whatever coach he had, but I guarantee you, the Packers brought him in because Mike Holmgren said, I'm the one that can fix this guy. I'm that good.
Right.
Like, that's how they think.
Exactly.
They don't look at it like.
And that's why
I'm
they're in
afraid
the
of
position
this.
that they're in.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, Rodgers doesn't think like, oh, I'm going to the Jets, same division as Josh Allen, or I'm going to the same division as Mahomes and Herbert. He thinks they have to play in the same division as Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
That's fair.
No doubt.
I don't want to take too much of your time, guys. Really, the last question I have is, as much as you can, sans knowing who the quarterback will be, what is kind of the ceiling you see for that team next year? I mean, Goody even said yesterday there are a lot of positional issues, a lot of depth they have to address. Where do you kind of see them going? Again, without knowing who their quarterback will be.
Yeah, I think, listen, if they put the right guy at kick returner last year from the start, they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They have the talent, and
Well, that's if they resign Keyshawn.
if they they have to.
I sure hope so.
That's more of a fireable offense, letting him walk than bringing Aaron Rodgers back. But listen, I think they have the talent on both sides of the ball, regardless of who's at quarterback, to at least make the playoffs. And whether that's 10 wins, 11 wins, whatever. Goody brought up a good point yesterday. How many offensive linemen are they returning?
13.
They're returning 13 offensive linemen.
They always never have.
That's
double digit
incredible.
return.
I like
Continuity and
the
consistency is great thing.
ESPN Analytics has like the pass block win rate, run block win rate
I
stats.
use that a lot.
The Packers rank 5th in pass block win rate and 8th in run block win rate. And that's an offensive lineman with so many moving parts. You have a healthy, this is plastic, but if it was wood,
As close as we can get.
David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom, John Runyon, Josh Myers, Yosh Nijman. You have arguably the best running back duo. You have a top 2 wide receivers with a rookie year under their belt. Got to figure out tight end. But if Rashawn, I think the key beyond whoever's at quarterback is, can Rashawn Gary get back to his full
And
health?
their defense can't play as bad as it did for.
They can't.
That was a deep. That was going to be in top 5 defense.
We all. I know I wrote in training
So did I.
camp, but I remember. In fact,
I'm the only Bears fan here.
I remember Darnell Savage.
So I'm just saying.
I remember saying this to Darnell Savage, and you can laugh at this because Darnell Savage is one of the guys that underperformed. But I said, you guys look really good on paper. He goes, we're gonna look even better on the field.
And then,
that obviously didn't happen.
And then seeing some of the things that you were tweeting, talking about how fast they looked and just all that stuff.
They really did.
In my head,
Maybe the offense was that bad at training camp.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, I mean, as a Bears fan, my first thought was, oh shit. I mean, whatever, but it is what it is, right?
I think they're a playoff team with Rodgers back. Are they a Super Bowl team? I don't know if he's ever going to get them over the hump, but maybe. But I think if it's a transition of Love, I think, and Love could end up, like I said, being great. Rodgers threw for over 4,000 yards in 2008, and they went 6-10. So there's going to be a transition.
Yeah. What was his quote? My bad years are other guys' career years or whatever.
That was after he had the 28, only 28 touchdowns, right?
Yeah. Listen, I understand all the financial implications and how it gets worse the longer he's on the team. I don't actually.
It must be the ball thing because I don't get it.
I get the baseline of it, but
kicking the can.
I think he's still a top 6 quarterback in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't trade a top 6 quarterback if you don't have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I understand why you would, and if they do, you can make the argument.
Right.
But if I'm the Packers, Jordan Love is such an uncertainty. It's different if Aaron Rodgers just had 3 mediocre seasons. He just won 2 MVPs and played a year with a broken thumb.
Right.
Like, he gives you the objective, and I understand it's a GM's objective to not just worry about the present, but the future.
You're right.
But like I said, why would you take the initiative to take yourself out of Super Bowl contention.
Right.
If you don't have to by trading her.
I wake up.
Right. There is still a window. I'm sorry for
No, that's what I was just saying. I wake up every morning. One day I'd say, yeah, got him. You should move on from Rodgers. And the next day I'm like,
I love them.
They should keep going. I'm glad we just report on it. I don't have to make the decisions.
Right.
If you want to pay me $5 million like Goody's doing it, I'll make a decision.
Right.
Live with it.
Right.
If Jordan Love stinks and Rodgers goes to the Jets and leads them to a Super Bowl,
Right.
Crucified.
then guess what? Then Goody loses his job
what
in a
if-
couple
but
years.
what if he goes to the Jets, they do well, maybe even they do go to the Super Bowl, and then he's done in a year, and then you have a growing year or two with Jordan Love, but 8 years from now, Jordan Love's still your quarterback, and he's pretty good. Like
Right.
that,
Right.
So like
Right.
I can see. I'm not trying to be non-committal, but if Goody's going to be non-committal,
Might as
Then
well,
we
right?
may as well too.
Yeah.
we bring it full circle.
So-
That's where I can leave it at.
All right, so I gotta ask one more question before we let you guys go, because I know your guys' time is very, very precious, and thank you guys
Not
so
really,
much for jumping in.
Just waiting for Rod. No, there's other stuff.
But it's
No,
just
that's
much,
actually-
but it is much appreciated you guys just jumping on with us though. But so I'm gonna kind of put you guys on the spot right here, aside from the Rodgers Packers stuff. So as the teams are right now currently, and who you may think their rosters may go to or whatever, where
Are you going to ask who's better, the Packers or the Bears?
No. No. I was gonna actually let you guys
'Cause
say
the
like,
Packers.
in the next 5 years, who do you see as the team that's going to be the team that's going to be the top team in the North in the next 5 years, or for the next 5 years?
Just to the
Consistent,
Or the next 5 years.
consistently, not just like next year, not just in like 5 years. from now,
Can I do this? I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk
Sure, go
this
ahead.
through. I'm going to talk.
Okay.
I like to talk
No,
things
that's
through.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's the best player in the NFC North right now?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Besides Aaron Rodgers, who's the most impactful player in the North right now?
Probably
Justin
Jefferson.
Jefferson. That's just my
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, yeah.
this
Yeah.
game. I was a scout when I first got into this business in 1997. A scout told me that this game is about the 4 or 5 different playmakers, one through
Who we're
5.
talking about.
Yeah.
From 6 to 53 on your roster. Maybe there's not a lot
They're
of
blue
different.
chippers.
But this and some scouts may think no, it's how good your bottom of the roster is versus maybe some scouts say that. This scout told me 5 players. If you have 5 impact players, a playmaker who touches the ball, a quarterback, a dominant defensive player, and then a couple of wild cards, whatever position you want to be. That's the most important thing. To me, Justin Jefferson is the most impactful player in this division, which to me, and he's still young, right? He's on his rookie contract,
Yep.
right? He's
Yep.
the same draft class as Jordan Love. So he's going to be in year 4.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
To me, that just off the top of my head, Bruce, that's where I would say I like their outlook. Now, maybe Justin Fields ends up being that guy, but just right now, simply because, and I realize this is way more than just one player,
Correct.
but simply because, in my opinion, he's the most dominant player in the division for the longest period of time ahead of him. I would just say
Essentially,
Minnesota.
fair.
But again, I could be.
That's
just
fair.
my-
Yeah,
I like
it's
that. I like
it's
that.
a
It's gut reaction.
tough question to answer because you have to, I think, consider the most important position in sports, and that's quarterback.
Yeah.
And the Lions were good, but Jerry Goff is not going to be like a long-term stud quarterback. The most certain thing in terms of long-term quarterback stability looks to be the Bears. Now, my answer is not the Bears because it's more than the
Come on,
quarterback.
It's too unknown, though.
But honestly,
You're going to say the Packers.
it might be the Packers because like the Vikings don't have that succession plan in place. Like the Bears have the quarterback, but everything else is a mess right now. Like the Lions don't have that next guy. They might get him this draft,
Right.
but we don't know if last season was a mirage. Like we base this answer off the pieces they have now and what they've been able to do. And the core of the Green Bay Packers has, for the most part of the last couple of years, been good. And if we are to trust what, we're hearing both at the podium and elsewhere about Jordan Love, you think that he's a guy who can eventually help elevate this team and the surrounding cast to great heights. Because over those next 5 years, they're still going to have Jair Alexander. They're going to have Eric Stokes, Quay Walker, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell, probably not Aaron Jones for much longer, but like A.J. Dillon, Watson, Dobbs, the young offensive lineman, Elton Jenkins. I would say the Packers probably. Maybe not this year,
Right.
but if we're looking 5 years out, I would probably say them.
Interesting. All right. Fair enough.
Not the answer
I
you
don't
were
like to
looking
hear
for,
it,
but
but I respect it because obviously he knows a lot more than I do.
all right. Well, gentlemen, we appreciate
Yes.
your time.
Thanks for
This
having
has
us.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, guys. Appreciate it.
Go to a little commercial.
I did not need to hold this mic at all.
No, probably not, but that's okay. Thanks,
Here's
fella.
to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office. Stage, nursery. Shh, sorry. Erie Insurance offers products that lots of other companies don't. That's a big deal, and it's a good deal too. And with Erie, you get your own independent agent, not a giant corporate call center or some online robot. You meet with a real person, like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
Here's to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office. Stage, nursery. Shh, sorry. Erie Insurance offers products that lots of other companies don't. That's a big deal, and it's a good deal too. And with Erie, you get your own independent agent, not a giant corporate call center or some online robot. You meet with a real person, like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
Here's to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office. Stage, nursery.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was fun. That was a good time. We
Once again, big shout out to Rob and Matt for coming on.
and Devin
Yes,
Is that
and
right,
Devin. It's just with all of this going on, to be able to get both of them at the same time.
That's it. Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
And I know they have a very good relationship. So, going
True.
back and
Yeah,
forth
so
together is a lot of fun.
I didn't know he was grabbing both Green Bay guys. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be honest, dude. That was just totally like jumped on.
I kind of did that to him on
and,
the
like,
spot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know where any of the Bears people are, and I don't have the relation. They're probably upstairs in the what do we want to call it, in the conference or whatever, the conference room.
Well, the reporters aren't going to be.
True.
The media room.
Yeah,
You're talking about the media room. Okay, yeah, they're probably all upstairs.
So like Kevin and like all those guys. Like, but,
Yeah, we saw Kevin earlier.
Yeah, we did. I didn't. I
But-
should have said hi to him, but I did. Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like,
I'll be honest. After listening to those two talk,
you feel a little better, don't you?
I feel a little better. It's therapeutic, first of all. Okay, to understand that. Are you wanting
Actually,
to hear us?
we actually sound really good right now.
Really?
Yeah.
To understand at a deeper level what's going on, and to hear from Matt and Rob the reasons Aaron would stay. I'll be honest, it swayed me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie.
It swayed me a
because
lot.
It totally just my whole thought process yesterday about him wanting to compete against, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, quarterbacks that aren't in the same tier as
Right.
others. Yeah, like just for the sheer fact of relationships with people in the buildings, and to be honest with you, I've heard that before from players that are going to retire, and they say, like, what do you miss the most? And like, oh, I miss the equipment guy.
I miss the people,
he was
yeah.
awesome. Or I miss this guy, he was awesome. It's kind of interesting though, the dynamic that Rodgers is taking, because a lot of people are looking at him as a selfish jackass, for lack of putting it again.
Yeah.
He's actually looking at it from a very, like, I don't know, I guess, regular person standpoint, from the weird thought process. And to go back to Matt's point, even about how he just wants to say, screw you, I'm going to beat whoever it is. That doesn't matter
Right.
who it is. And you give me MJ, you give me Bruce as my wide receivers, I'm still going to end up beating you. So that's kind of
I'll find the zone.
That's
I'll find
kind of
the hole in the
cool.
zone.
But I don't know. I do agree a little bit more with Rob though, with my futures conversation about the Vikings
Yeah.
possibly having the most potential. I don't know about the Packers, man.
That one's hard.
That was a curveball.
But here's the thing. I trust the short history we've seen from the Packers front office more than I do the current history from the current Vikings front office.
Okay.
Because they have not been able to build a consistent defense.
why
They
is it
gave
taking-
Kirk Cousins so much money, which is the biggest issue,
Right.
how much money they've given Kirk Cousins. Because if you think about it, Bruce, if you were to give a top 10 quarterback that much money, but you give him Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and TJ Hawkinson, that man makes a deep playoff
yeah,
run. Because
no,
if you,
I agree.
Just think about it this way:
I
if
do
Justin
agree with that,
Herbert
Carter. I
had
agree with that.
that, if Joe Burrow Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, even just those 5
I'll
guys,
even-
which I think are some of the top 5.
I'll even put Fields in that category. Fields had a legit number one wide receiver.
If Fields had those 4 weapons at his disposal, I think he would have probably thrown for 3,000 yards last year. But you have Kirk Cousins.
3,500.
Let's not get too crazy. But you have Kirk Cousins, who can't even go really win a playoff game.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's going to limit them the most. The fact that they have strapped themselves financially on the back of Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And for better or for worse, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Double chains, man. I just don't see it.
You see that? Derek Carr meets with the Panthers.
Yeah, Derek Carr has met with the Panthers, the Jets, and the Saints this week here.
I didn't know that he met with the Panthers yesterday.
Yeah, he met with the Panthers yesterday. I
Interesting.
believe it was the Saints that he was meeting with today.
Interesting. Oh, by the way, I have to say it, and we got to make sure we clip this, okay?
Yes.
Quick shout out to the wife, Celine. I love you.
Yes.
Liana, little girl, love you too. Puppies, love you guys too. Thank you guys. And also coworkers, love you guys too. Vince, Steph, Bob, Gloria, Yesenia, love you guys. Thank you guys so much for allowing me the opportunity to jump on with MJ to continue doing Third Down Thursdays down here at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. It's been fun so far, and we're gonna have some more, I guess.
Yes, sir. I don't know. Do you want to? I got to go to the bathroom, so I don't know if you guys stuff to talk about. You want to?
No, yeah.
Do a little break. What do we want to do?
We can do a little break. Hey,
Okay.
By the way, Jeff at mybebig.com.
Absolutely.
704-464-4544. Tell them that Third Down Thursday sent you, and I'm sure there'll be another time that we jump on live and hopefully provide you guys with some information. MJ.
Yes. Bruce.
Let's go.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back live at another time. Who knows? It'll be random. It'll be fun. And it'll be real fun.
It'll be real fun.
Yes, it will. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we're going to end off with our good friend,
Our favorite guy.
the card guy.
The card guy.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, MJ.
I got nothing.
We're at the Combine.
Yay.